Hi, my name is Catherine Giglio, and I'm a painter, mixed media artist up in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I'm sorry I couldn't be down for Abby's Artist Talk weekend. I'm getting ready to take my son back to college, and she asked if I'd make a quick video about why Red Threads is important to me and why I support the Never Alone Foundation. I have tried to make this video I don't know how many times, and so I'm just gonna keep going. So I'm sorry if I mess up and the quality's not terrific. Red Threads, the actual legend, became a really important piece for me during a grieving process, and then a huge wake-up call about what I wanted to do in my life, which was to become a painter and to express myself and to take all the emotions and all the experiences around me and my love of color and put it on a canvas and try and create some peace and some thought process about the world that we live in, that we all share because we are all connected. And it became a huge part of my paintings. Usually when I have a canvas, the first thing I do is some red goes across it, just to break up that white blank canvas and to ground myself in that we are all here and celebrating how we all affect one another, and hopefully spreading kindness and love and all that, and peace can be contagious. So about 7 years ago, I asked some of my friends, who are all amazing artists, 4 of whom have done all 5 shows, and I'm really grateful for them, if they would come together in an art show based on the legend of the Red Thread, and that I would very much like to have everybody donate a portion of their proceeds to the Never Alone Foundation, which was built on the memory of a good friend of mine and her 3 daughters. And it's about honoring that red thread through the process of adoption, and they help take care of the costs of what it takes to adopt somebody, a little one, and medical costs for those who need it, and also support for those who are needing help with like therapy and blending these families and the trauma that some of these kids have been through to create a family unit. So it really speaks to my heart, and anyway, you can read a lot more about it at laurelsmessage.org online if you're curious. And I'm really just super grateful for the artists and Abby for continuing to come together and be part of this community. It's turned into its own thing, which I'm super proud of. This show is especially beautiful this year in Kreuser Gallery, and the way she has hung things, celebrating each artist but also intermixing them. It's really breathtaking, and I hope that you can get down to see it. And it's a great way to add to your collection and support a good cause. So I thank you for checking in and being here and following our journey. A lot of you have been along for all 5 years, and we are looking forward to another Red Threads in April of 2022. And we're just going to keep going and see where this takes us, because so many great stories have come from this show, and it really just touches my heart. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Lori Pasquale, and I've been with the Red Threads for 5 years, and my medium is typically, in the last few years, has been in encaustics, which is wax and pigments, hot wax. And this year, probably because of COVID, for many reasons, I was just changing some things up and trying to push myself a bit more, take a few more risks, and I actually worked mainly in acrylic, and then also cold wax and oils. So anyway, a little different look, a little different material and medium, but always so honored to be part of the show, to be connected to so many of these red threads that are important people in my life, and then also reaching out to the larger community. I feel like, especially in this time with COVID and the isolation that we have all felt, it's been really powerful to know that I can create this art for this specific show, and it makes my heart happy. So thanks.
I'm Chris Alvarez, and I'm really happy to be part of this show. A little bit about myself. I've been here since 1998, and I came here courtesy of Uncle Sam when I joined the Army, because I couldn't get my crap together. Excuse my language. But the Army helped me out. I spent 4 years in the Army, and then when I got out, I stayed. And a few years later, I decided to become an artist. I always wanted to be an artist, but I finally mustered up the courage to go for it. And so I started off with a Conwood Art Academy. I started my own school in 2011. So I started my own school, and little by little, I've been just part of the, like built up a community and became part of this art community, which is a great community to be in. Our community is so important in art. To paint a variety of subjects, like one of the most important things about that I look for is a nice, interesting shape, design, composition, and with that in mind, I try to make anything interesting. And sometimes some things are just fun to look at, and other times they're worthy of painting. So, all right, so that's enough about me. So about this show, the red thread overlap. It is a great concept of the unbroken red thread that connects us through time and space. So I want to read something from The Art Spirit, which is one of my favorite art books. I consider this my Bible, if you will. It's something I teach from. This is probably my 6th copy that I've gone through, and you can see this is pretty beaten up. So page 15 of this edition is this great quote that just kind of sums it up for me. So Robert Henright tells us, through art, mysterious bonds of understanding and of knowledge are established among men. They are the bonds of a great brotherhood. And those are the brotherhood let me start that sentence over. Those who are of the brotherhood know each other, and time and space cannot separate them. So I think art is one of the most effective ways of connecting us. All the way back, if you go all the way back to when people painted on cave walls, and you can still see those works. When you dig up, when archaeologists go to a site and they dig up pieces of art, right? Whether the people who created that work knew or not, they created a connection between us and them. And so I look at a painting, I go to museums, and I go to shows like the Degas or Van Gogh or the Women Impressionist show. That was a really great show. I look at the work, I stand in front of the painting, and I put myself in the shoes of that artist as much as I can, and I feel the connection between me and that person, whether they created the work 500 years ago, 100 years ago, or even yesterday, 10 minutes ago, and then I think about the art that I create or that is here on these walls, and I see a lot of red dots, which is really great. I love seeing red dots on art. It's like just shows that people are really supporting us and also experiencing it, taking it, and so that they can have it in their homes. And I think about that art, and it's going to be on their walls, probably for generations. So whether someone even knows who I am, you know, whether my name goes down in history or not, this red boat may be on someone's walls 100 years from now, and someone's great-grandchildren's children will be looking at this painting, you know, and just thinking about, you know, hopefully they're thinking about a summer day in Provincetown, Massachusetts, where I painted this. Maybe they'll feel the sun on their skin, and they'll hear the sounds, and I will have connected with them. And that's what I love about being an artist, is making these connections.
Hi, my name is Wendy Reis, and I'm an artist and art educator. I find such joy in the process of creating my art. I love to layer colors and textures across the surface of the canvas and then kind of scrape away or sand away and reveal some of that history underneath. It's such a joy to me to be able to do that, and very cathartic in these kinds of times. Sometimes I sew red threads into the artwork as well, and that's kind of a good segue about the red threads and what they mean to me. It's a community of artists who are support and come together, and it's been such a wonderful experience for me. One of my paintings is called Abide, which means to be steadfast and be together, which I just love that connection and that idea. So that's a little bit about me.
My name is Jeanne Kruckeberg, and I'm a photographer, and I've been part of Red Threads since its inception 6 years ago, so this is our 5th show, and I'm super thrilled to be a part of it. When I think about my work and what binds it all together, it's difficult to say a particular subject. I love taking pictures of nature, whether it's close up or pulled back in a landscape. I love taking pictures of people. I love urban photography, so subject doesn't really bind my work together. The thing that pulls all of my photos together and my work together is an attempt to focus my attention on one thing, to still my thoughts, and really pay attention both to two things simultaneously. That which makes something of a particular time and space. So what's specific about this very instant that makes this picture something that can only be taken right in this moment? What makes this thing right now? And then at the same time, what is it about this particular subject that is constant? What is it that always makes it this thing, its essence? And so I think of taking pictures as a way of capturing that, or attempt to investigate that or explore that. Most of the pictures that I took this year are of water in one state or another. Water really draws me in. I think for those reasons I just said, that that it's there's something constant about it, and there's also it's different in any particular moment. Being part of Red Threads has some of those same elements in it for me. There is something that is new and changing about it every time I've participated in it, both for me as an artist, the things that I've chosen to focus on, for me and my connection with the other artists in the show, and a growing relationship with the Never Alone Foundation and what it means to be part of this community as an artist. And so that has, I don't know, I guess all those red threads kind of braiding together and becoming something stronger, and that's been really powerful for me. I really believe in the work of the Never Alone Foundation, their devotion to families and connecting people, and
creating new families, I think is really beautiful, and I think that the work of Red Threads parallels that.
Hi, I'm Lelia Davis, and this is my first year as part of the Red Threads creative group. And I originally learned about Red Threads about, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago or so. A good friend of mine was involved in it, and still is. And it was always my dream to not only pursue my vocation in art, but also to create a community in order to do that, in which to do that. Because up until about 5 years ago, my community was strictly medical or health related, other moms, things like that, and I desperately missed that part of myself. So when Gabriella encouraged me to pursue my dream of becoming an artist based on the education I'd had previously and throughout classes I'd taken throughout the course of my life, I went for it. And I feel like that little bit of magic that Gabriella gave me was exactly the push I needed. And then I went to her show for Red Threads, and I thought to myself, this is what I'm missing, being part of a community like this. And then here I am, 5 to 6 years later, and I just can't even believe it. So it's like a dream come true. And the idea behind the Red Thread being a connection that brings us all together is that's exactly what it has been for me. Not only just a connection, but like this sparky magic that just connects us all, and I'm just so grateful for that, and for people like Abby who open up their galleries to groups like this and just encourage that connection. So what I ended up doing for this show, I have a few other pieces in the other room, but these all work really well together. They're nice and bright. I like to use palette knife because I feel that it brings energy to the canvas that I can't normally get with a paintbrush. I like the chiseled lines it creates. I like to fracture my lines as well. Like just putting a palette knife on there creates a nice clean edge, but then when you fracture it, it just really brings it to life. A couple of these I created just from my own imagination. Actually, all three of these. I spend a lot of time outdoors. My favorite thing in the world is to be outside. My husband calls me an outside dog, and I just love it. So I'm always outside, and I guess I have a Rolodex of images of landscapes, and I prefer painting landscapes over anything else. But so they just came from my imagination, and then this one was from a trip I took with some friends out to the wine country. So this is the Sonoma Valley. And this one in particular was very meaningful to me because I created it after I made a big change in my life, and I entitled it Rebirth based on that change. And it's actually was the perfect addition to this show because I feel as if I come into my own and rebirthed myself in the past few years, and being part of this show has been almost like the icing on the cake. So I'm truly grateful for the group and for the opportunity to put my heart and art on the walls and just connect with people in that way. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Adam Williams, and I'm a photographer in this Red Thread show, and this is some of my work here that is the Unreverence series of mine. Unreverence is an extension, companion series to what I showed at Kreuzer Gallery in July, the Reverence series. These are things that are found out in nature. Reverence having been details of nature, unreverence are man-made items, like these shotgun shells, or a found work boot, cowboy boot, this Bible that I found frozen in the woods inexplicably, or this distressed American flag these are all things that I find, and I take an interest in these details, and so that's what I'm showing as part of this series and this Red Thread show. But Red Threads, for me, it was important to be part of this because it's about connection. Everything that I do in my work, these things that I've mentioned and otherwise, is about connection. It's about unity. Connection with nature, connection with each other. So I'm really happy to be part of this. I'm happy to be part of this being something that benefits the Never Alone Foundation, and to be part of this connection with so many other wonderful human creative artists expressing themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Summer Kircher, and I want to talk about my experience first with being a part of the Red Threads. I was in the initial show 5 years ago, and two of the women are very dear friends of mine, and that was part of what started it. But as we started meeting and came up with our mission statement about that community and celebrating and creativity, and we became a close-knit group that really wanted to explore our own artistic capabilities and also wanted to share the profits with the Never Alone Foundation, because Catherine sharing the personal story of great loss for this man and for the adoption agency. So it was really threefold. It was women coming together who want to be creative. It was building our own sense of community and friendships. And the third element was being able to give of ourselves for this great organization. Then I took a hiatus because my creativity became very important. That my last grandchild was born and in Denver, and I just committed myself to being there almost every week and really enjoying that process, and now he's 3.5. So when I was asked again this year, I said absolutely yes, and I felt very committed in my heart. And then it was the world of COVID, and that was really important because it shaped a lot about my creative process and the comfort level I felt with expressing myself, because I had a lot of different things in my family and that in my health that just kind of hit me sideways a bit. So I had to step back and really look at what I have been doing and thinking about what I wanted to create. And I did a lot of collages. I'm a self-taught artist. I've always been creative. I was a weaver once. I've done a lot with photography. And then I wanted to really move more into putting things on paper and canvas. So the first show was all collages. Now I've been in the last years experimenting more with abstract landscapes and really testing more of a ground with abstraction that with paint I find more challenging than with collage. So I want to talk a little bit about this very small painting that's called Grief. As I worked on that, I decided I wanted to keep it quite loose. I wanted to have a sense of the interpretation and the expression. So my brother asked, had I used gouache? And I said, no, I used the quinacridine colors that are kind of semi-transparent to give that feeling of a body hunched over. And then because of COVID, I did not want to go and have it professionally matted. So I had to dig through, what did I have that I could use to capture the feeling of grief? And grief in the shoulders, grief in the body, and how you carry yourself. So by having this mat, actually what happened was the painting was bigger. It brought it much tighter, which in many ways manifests that element of grief. You feel like you're just confined. And does anybody else feel that how you feel about the world being so different? And then my husband made the frame out of cherries. So I just felt it represented, I also included in the show an abstraction that's called In the Wave. And as I worked with the blues, it just felt, what is that like when a wave is hitting you and you're hoping you've got a good enough breath to get to the surface? And the third piece was an abstraction that was something totally up for the viewer to interpret what that vista might be, where they might be in actually seeing it or seeing a vista within their own mind. So it's been a great honor. Abigail's done a fantastic job, and I'm very proud and honored to be a part of the Red Threads. Thank you.
I'm Deb Comator, and these are my oil paintings in the Red Thread Group show, Overlap. And my idea for this show was to show how we're all connected and how our lives overlap, not only with each other, but with nature, with everything around us. Everything we do has an effect on everything else. So it's kind of like the layers of the forest. And then there's this little red ribbon that goes through on a couple of them. And that's just about how, that's the human aspect coming in, where something was left and then the forest is growing over it and it takes over its life. I feel very honored to be in this show with this group of people and this benefit for the Never Alone Foundation. It just humbles me to think about all these people that have gotten together, these kind and loving people, and created this small foundation that works to help support people with adoption. And it just shows me what kindness and love in a small group can do and makes such a huge difference. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeanne Steiner. I'm a weaver. I've been a weaver for around 50 years, and people are always interested in that. I started weaving as an undergraduate, as an art studio major at Colorado State University. We're so fortunate to have studied with Sherry Smith. She's the one that introduced me to weaving. She's a highly esteemed artist weaver. And she was so great because she and I connected around the complexities inherent in weaving. And she let me use her Dobby looms in her own studio. She taught me to do that. And so now I work exclusively on Dobby looms for their possibilities of complex weave structures, which she and I both bonded over. We really liked those way back when, 50 years ago. So I still follow her work. She's an incredible fiber artist. And I started in with double weaves in that very first class that I took from her, and I have found it endlessly fascinating to continue with that kind of work on with complex weave structures. It is weaving 2 or more layers of fabric at one time, interchanging them just in points. So that's what all of this work is. The little pockets allow for stuffing some areas if I choose to do that. But in looking at this work, it really, in the last 20 years or so, I've had the opportunity to accompany the art department at Colorado College to the New York City art studio, art major trip. And that has been really influenced my double weave work in that it's all gridded in New York City, all the buildings, the reflections of the buildings really has influenced how I look at my work and what I'm doing with my work since all of that travel. I go once a year for a week with them. Very, very important to my progression as an artist. I recently retired from Colorado College, and so now, for the first time in my life, I get to do full-time weaving work, so I'm really excited about it. These pieces are the first pieces that I've done since my retirement. My connection with the Never Alone Foundation has really been through Giglio, my good friend, who had a personal relationship with the family. And it was one of the founding members of creating this fundraiser, the Red Threads exhibition, as part of a fundraising effort for this important foundation. And my own connection with it has been the Lucy's Love Grant program. And for those of you who don't know about that part of the Never Alone Foundation, the Lucy's Love is a grant for families who have welcomed children with significant medical needs. Pretty incredible work that they're doing. We had a son, Ben, who was born with spina bifida. So that is my kind of personal relationship with a family with significant medical needs, and the idea to relieve the stress of having that in your family, to relieve the stress of the financial impact of that is really important. And as well as bringing a child to full physical health, which is their standard, that's what they're after, which is so important. If you don't have the health insurance or the money to give to that in your family, then it's not going to happen for those children. So this is a really, really important aspect of this foundation that I connect personally to. I'm really honored to be invited to be part of this exhibition. It's just a wonderful opportunity, and I think this show, with Abby's help, has come together beautifully. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Abigail Kreuser. I am the owner of Kreuser Gallery in Colorado Springs, and I am also a photographer. And I was very excited that I was invited to be part of Red Threads this year. Red Threads means so much to me in so many different ways. The women that started it, and the connection I have with them, the connection I have with the arts community, and the connection with Never Alone Foundation. I just am very proud to be a part of it, happy to support these beautiful artists and the wonderful Never Alone Foundation.
Hi, my name is Jerry Manning, and I'm out here at our family farm out in Michigan this week, and out where I spend a lot of time doing photography. I'm a digital image maker, and I specialize in using my iPhone for just about all of my work, and I love to take pictures of scenes like this. And oftentimes I'll try to put someone within the scene, a human being, to try to connect ourselves with the natural settings that we live in. And that to me is really important in the work that I've been doing these last few years. I tend to do a lot of my photography into sunny settings. So I like to have the solar rays coming down over the area that I'm taking images of, and oftentimes I lose my person or human in that setting, because it then allows everyone to just see the merging of it all. And after I've taken an image on my phone, I then use the apps that are available to me to create my own impression of the image that I originally had taken, just to kind of go deeper into the shot that I've created. Oftentimes now I don't have people with me, so I have been doing a lot more work just in nature, and finding a great deal of fulfillment just by doing those kinds of images as well, which many of them are included, or some of them I should say are included in the Red Thread show that I'm participating in. And by the way, this is my first ever public showing of my work, so I'm really excited about it, and I thank both Giglio and Abby at your wonderful gallery and all the other artists for inviting me to participate. I just think it's a wonderful opportunity to create funds for a cause that I truly believe in, the Never Alone Foundation, which I've known about now for about 5 years through my connection with Giglio. And I think it's probably one of the favorite organizations that I support. So it's a great honor to be part of this, and I just hope that it is very successful, and if it is, wonderful, and I appreciate the time and the opportunity to participate with everybody else. So thank you very much. So I just want to finish by saying I'm just so grateful for everyone involved in this show, to be part of it, and it's such an exciting thing for me to have this opportunity to express myself in a much different way than I've ever done before. So I'm thankful for that, and thank you for allowing me to participate.